What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? We are in this thing. This is A Light in the Sky, the 4400 review show, live recap. Uh, hey, we've been doing this for a minute. I'm your co-host, Rhayne Coleman, and I have with me for you new folks, and for your who is here?
My name is Robert Jeffrey. I'm the co-host of this
Yeah,
wonderful podcast that we've been doing for multiple years that nobody has
years.
ever heard of, apparently.
Yay, years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Woo. Okay.
yeah.
Let's I guess get right to it. This is A Light in the Sky. We are covering the 4400 reboot that came out at the time of this recording. Was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
Yeah,
Something like that.
it was Monday, so it's like 3 days.
Monday the 25th. And
Hmm.
we have been doing this for a few years. We've reviewing the initial series. The first one that started back in like 2006, I think.
2004.
Four,
2004.
yes, there you
Yeah.
go. So we have tons and tons of episodes of that. So if you like what we're doing here visually and you into podcasts, I will definitely link that first season going forward below. Um, but we're gonna get right to it. We are getting into the 4400 season one, which is technically season five, but we'll go by what Google says. Um, this is past its prologue. And over the last century, at least 4,400 people vanished without a trace. Last night, they were all returned, having not aged a day and with no memory of what happened to them. Woo! Robert,
So
what
the
the,
first, the
come
first thing
on.
that stands out to me is that they didn't spoil the whole plot in the
Hey,
synopsis.
hey, right.
Um, yeah, unlike Netflix, because Netflix has the
Yeah,
worst synopsis writers on the face of the earth.
fam.
So we're going with initial thoughts right now.
Yeah, come
Okay,
on.
okay.
Initial. What's up?
So initial thoughts. I enjoyed it. I
Okay.
enjoyed it a bit. I thought it was a good introduction, to the
Mm-hmm.
universe for people who aren't familiar with the original series.
Yep.
And it's funny because I've been seeing a lot of people um, this week.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, give me 1 second. I've been
Yeah.
seeing a lot of people who are familiar with the previous series this week talking about this reboot. But for
Mm-hmm.
most people who are just like, this is their jumping into this universe for the first time, I thought it
Yeah.
was a good intro. So there were a couple of things that probably didn't work as well for me, but overall,
Hey.
I enjoyed it. You said,
Yeah. Yeah,
hey.
because I got some issues too.
Hmm.
For my initial thoughts, I liked it. I thought some stuff was heavy-handed, but because this is a pilot, a pilot, a first episode, and a reboot of a show that a lot of people may not have watched, I
Right.
thought that the stuff that was heavy-handed was done well, and it
Hmm.
was even if it's a bit clunky or a little bit odd, it's okay
Hmm.
because it's setting up what's to come, and I think it'll be a lot more smooth going forward. So I was okay with some of the stuff that made me cringe on first watch.
Hmm.
Um, I do. I'm from Michigan, about an hour outside of Detroit, so this
Yeah.
was like a love letter to me.
Yeah.
So I'm a
Hmm.
little biased, listeners, viewers. Uh, so forgive me, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought this was a great jumping on starting point. Yep.
Good. 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 Yeah, I was
Oof.
wondering. I was wondering how you were feeling about it being set in Detroit and them kind of highlighting certain areas of the
Yeah.
city because I'm not as familiar with Detroit, so I'm going to lean on you, to see if they're bringing that
All right.
authenticity. So if it's like if
Hey.
it was Freeland, Atlanta, then I could point out those little areas or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So I'm glad to hear that it spoke to you as a former resident of Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And all you listeners out there, all you folks and viewers who are from the 313, let us know because this is um there hasn't been a show that I can recall off the top of my head that has been set in Detroit or in Michigan that like since Martin, I'm sure there have been some,
Mhm.
but like Martin was in Detroit, downtown Detroit. I
Right.
can't think of anything off the top of my head. So listeners, while y'all watching this show, let us know. You know what I'm saying? It might be something I don't pick up on. So just want to throw that out there. Yeah.
Nice.
Woo.
So we so let's, I mean, I guess we're still focused on like initial thoughts, kind of how we're
Yes.
feeling.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump in with like my first one because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
something that we both might kind of tackle. The return in this one, as compared to the
Mm.
first, as compared to the original one, was a
Yeah.
bit more rough.
Yeah.
They were yanking people out of cars, and then
Yeah.
throwing them into the park versus
Yes.
how in the original one, there was this ball of light. It
Yeah.
went to the because we're doing, like, I guess this is kind of a comparison also, and then they just
Yes.
appeared on the beach. They appeared on the beach, and then this one, it just, I was like, God, this is a bit rough
Yeah.
compared to the other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree. Terrible. It was like somebody was slamming balls on the ground. Like
yes, yeah,
I when okay, when I initially saw it, I was like, okay, this is different. I like that it is different. But when the doctor
hmm,
came down, I was still was rough. But that first person that came right after the doctor,
yeah,
that person deserves an Oscar because I know wherever he or she jumped
hmm,
from, I can't even remember what it was, but
hmm.
I was like, shit, is nobody got broken bones? I was like, what are
Exactly.
y'all trying to
Well,
kill these people?
and then
Oh,
Dr. Andre was like, "Oh, heavens forbid!" He's like, "Low, I can't." And his dialect was
yeah,
so, I don't, like, I can't say on point because I'm not of that time. I
yeah,
don't study the linguistics of the 20s,
yeah.
but they had him lean into that heavy. He was like,
Hey,
Heavens forbid!" He was like,
yes,
"Are we still in New York City?" Um, it's like, I gotta help somebody.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, they were. It was like, what do you say, mollywop? They were
Oh
just being
God,
tossed
yes,
down.
yeah, yes,
Um, and I was just like,
yeah.
they didn't do this in the original one, but
Mm-mm.
that was something that stood out for me. What were, like, any other initial thoughts or?
Yeah. I say with that, I'm thinking it may have been like budget and CGI. That was just easier to just put them on the beach.
But
Um,
what with the yeah, in 2004, yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
FX weren't what they are now, but oof.
yeah,
For me, initial was really the costuming. I really like that.
yeah, hmm,
Again, some of this stuff I just have to go off of like TV shows I've seen and whatnot. I'm not a historian, but I
yeah,
did enjoy the costuming.
hmm,
And I thought that a lot the different people who are displaced from different times, I thought that they did okay with their voice acting and their like
right,
accents and whatnot. Now
hmm,
again, listeners, I'm not Southern, so where I think homegirl from Tennessee sound okay, she might sound terrible.
right,
Don't charge it to my head, not my heart. But I did like the costuming and that visually you could just see where everybody was from different areas. There was a white woman. She didn't have any speaking roles, but she would have the Lovecraft Country
like the
fancy.
what do they call it?
Yeah,
Like the pill cap or something? Yeah,
yes,
like
yeah, with them big old
yeah,
cat eye glasses. I'm like,
yeah,
I want her to come forward a little bit. I want to get a little bit of her story too, because she was a bad one. I'm telling you, she stood out visually
yeah,
at least. But no, I liked it. I
yeah.
liked it.
There was, so one of the things in the original one, you had all the people in the background who never appeared after that episode, just
Yeah,
walking around like in bathrobes.
yeah,
You didn't see no Vikings or pirates,
right, right,
because
right.
there was like a set period. So it was like the furthest back you probably saw somebody in a, like, a dress from the 40s, or
Mhm,
in
mhm.
Richard's case, Mahershala Ali's,
Yeah,
he was dressed in his uniform. So in this one, they at least kept to that,
yeah.
and it's also international, because you remember we were
Mhm.
thinking that it was just people from Detroit. We didn't
Yeah,
know that they were going to be
yeah.
like going as international with it
Right, right, right.
as they did in the past. But the other thing, and this is something that, this is why I'm always going to tell people, go back and listen to our old episodes.
Hey.
We have a big, I'm not going to curse, a big whatever discussion of race in
Oof.
this. There is so much.
Yeah.
One of the things that we enjoyed about stories, well, about the 4400, is like these displaced people trying to
Yep.
figure out, why, the mystery of it all. But as
Mhm.
you get further along into it, there are these illusions, like, just like the X-Men, where you're
Yeah.
talking about the quote unquote other.
Yeah.
And what gets kind of problematic for us is when every other person is just like
Hey,
like what you say, a straight white male or whatever.
hey.
Yeah, and so it's like, and then so you don't ever see people of color being the lead of these sci-fi stories of oppression.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we saw the promos for this,
Hey,
we knew we were hyped. And so
yes, yes.
so from that angle, the representation I think is on point.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, and it seems to flow very well, within
Mm-hmm.
the story that they're telling,
Yeah.
because they tackle like issues of race within a bunch of like the first few minutes
Mm-hmm.
of that when they were all collected. I think the biggest thing for me was when they were, I think it was the Dr. Andre and the lady from, and I'm trying to remember her name, Claudette.
Yeah.
He was taking care of her, and then he was like, "There's a lot of white people here," and then she said something to the effect of, and maybe it's another scene where she says, "You would have thought things would have changed."
Mm-hmm.
And right behind him is this like big, like bald white guy just standing over them. And I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
y'all really pushed that
Yeah.
home. And
Yeah.
yeah. And then the Ruth Bader Ginsburg discussion,
Hey,
which
I
was my
actually
favorite.
okay.
No, no,
We
go, no,
here.
say what you're
No,
gonna
no.
say. Yeah, okay,
We
so we're on
here.
the same
So
page.
I
Hmm.
I love that. Mainly because I think that was a very smart way. Even if you didn't
Yep.
use her, I think
Hmm.
that was such a smart way to tie everything together. One thing that I look at when I watch television through me like writing on my own is like,
Hmm.
does every sentence matter? Like, can some of
Right.
this stuff be cut and it still flow the same? And I think that I don't know if that was like workshopped or if they like the writers' room was like, well, let's get Ruth and let's do this, that, and the
Hmm.
third. But the end result was it gave so much information, even
Yeah.
for someone who, let's say, you don't even know who she is. You just like,
Hmm.
who the hell is Ruth? Like the doctor. But you see that the three different, actually four, the 90s dude, the no, yeah, him, Shanice, and the officer. Like for them three to have
Yeah.
this experience with this one, I love
Yeah.
that particular part of that scene. That was just good
Yeah.
writing.
I think like Dr. Andre said black woman. I mean, like no, he said woman on the Supreme Court, and then Claudette was like, I would have heard, if
Yeah,
we had,
yeah,
so at least they didn't say Clarence Thomas, right? Um, so
right, right.
that would have been problematic. But
Mm,
and I think there were other things where Doctor even, the Dr. Andre said to Shanice when Shanice was trying to,
woo.
she was like a lawyer. He's like, now a secretary is not. I was like, whoa, God.
Yo, he was
It's like
so.
he
Ugh.
was he was so natural with it. He was just like, yo, to him, he was trying to fix
Yeah.
a problem. And then
Hmm.
she turned to him and was like, I got a law degree, or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Like,
just kind of
oh.
showing, the mindsets that they have. And then but like I said, their focus this go around, I think, is going to be on the Black experience of somebody
Hmm.
going through something like this.
Yeah.
Um, so that was another initial thought that was very
Hmm.
apparent. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what's another one for you?
That really was the biggest one for me was
Okay.
race, because there were times during the show where I was like, okay, is this too much? And not too much like it's bad, too much like, are
Hmm.
they like beating us over the head with this? But at the
Hmm.
same time, even if you think that, how many other shows can you point to that has elements of science fiction and and futurism, not even Afrofuturism, where
Right.
black people are where they exist, and
Right.
they exist outside of the transatlantic slave trade. So with that being said, my biggest concern or my biggest issue or thought was,
Hmm.
where does this 4400 return play in the larger universe? Like, are they connected at all? Is this these people returning on Monday, October 25th in 2021? Did they return at the exact same time that everybody did in 2004, or are we not even connected?
I don't think they're connected. Yeah,
And
this is yeah, this is a reboot in the truest
like,
sense.
okay, there
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
so
that
it's a
yeah.
fresh slate, basically. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that was my biggest thing was just the race element because I'm black and I'm all for black
Yeah.
everything and I'm all for come on y'all make it
Hmm.
work. But I was also looking at like okay, what are the complaints going to be? Oh, it's an all black cast, social justice warrior pushing this down our throat, whatever. But all that shit aside, it's like this is one show.
Oh
Even if
God.
that is, hey y'all, they coming back from Robert. You about to go.
Oh
Oh
shit! Hold
shit.
on. What was
You
that?
good.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's
Oh,
that's
some
my
books
issue.
fell. Some Star Trek books
See?
fell.
Nah, see? They coming
Whoa.
back for the future, fam. They coming to get you. They coming to
No,
get you.
well, one of the few shows to acknowledge that black folks existed in the future. Shout out to Star Trek. Yeah, it it's one of those things that I did see some discussions. I mean, like I said, everybody has their own opinions.
Right.
Where people were talking about the race element because you
Mm.
when they released the cast member, like unlike with the 2004 version, at
Yo.
least close to 90+% of this cast is black. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't give a fuck. I'm happy with it. Like, I'm sorry.
Hey.
Like, if they have a problem with it, then don't watch it. And because Netflix still has all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Now, the goal, if you, and also looking at, reading the interviews of the showrunner, because this reboot has been, they announced this like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been like kind of sitting, for a minute. So, she specifically said that this is something I think is something to the effect of like we're going to deal with black folks who are kind of been
Mm-hmm.
caught up in the circumstances, and also this is something where we were going to do like a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
In 2004, the biggest issues that they were dealing with that were the war on terror, the
Well,
this whole idea of fighting against the other, and then the what amount of government oversight is legit, is good. So it
mm-hmm.
was like that's where their issues were of the time. So you can't bring characters like these back into the circumstance, I mean, into this universe, and not deal
Mm-hmm.
with the issues of the time.
Yeah.
I actually love the flashback between Shanice when she met her husband,
Mm-hmm.
before it became the white savior part. But
Yeah. Yo.
we I like that part. I mean, not that part. I like the fact that they said that for like 2005, I think it
Uh-huh.
was, to 2005 or sometime during
The
the
oil.
Iraq War, the the
Mm-hmm.
second the second Iraq War. So, or maybe it was Afghanistan. I can't remember because I know she's been the most recent one that's been
Yeah.
taken, at least that they've
From 2005.
introduced. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so basically they're highlighting, or tackling. They are going to tackle a lot of the stuff that is going on now. It's just a matter of handling it deftly
Mm-hmm.
versus browbeating you over the head with it. Either way, I'm happy that,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what science fiction does when it's done well.
Hey.
I mean, you could, on
Yes.
one side you have the thought provoking science fiction, on the other side you have something like Sliders, where they're just
Mm-hmm.
traveling to zombie planet, which is
Mm-hmm.
so goofy
I mean,
stuff
there's a
like
place
that.
for it. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a place for it. So, um, we'll see, because that was something that I felt when done successfully in Black Lightning, they handled it really well.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Hmm.
that was something that came to mind as well while watching it. I said this
Hmm.
feels like they've taken the lessons and the mistakes from Black Light, though it is just the first episode,
Hmm.
taking a lot of the mistakes that they may have made in stuff like Black Lightning and tried to rectify that.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned countless times on past A Light in the Sky recordings that this series lends itself to so many varying stories that can be told, like from the
Yeah.
small villain of the week to the overarching large, episodic in-game narrative. And I
Hmm.
think that with this being a predominantly black cast, and we know the powers is coming, we know they're
Yeah.
coming, I'm excited to see what happens.
Right.
um how is this story going to differ from before? Not just because it's 2001 versus 2004, and not just for the technology and kind of advances in special effects, but like the stories themselves. Um, when Shanice went to the old lady's house who raised
Hmm.
her, that moment stood out to me, and I may not have the words to
Mhm.
express why completely, but when you get a science fiction futurism movie or something like this and the default is always white, that's what
Mhm.
you're going to get. But the experience of our just grandmothers versus the grandmother of someone that's, a white millennial,
Yeah.
it's varied. So, and again, I may not have the words, but just that scene there
Mhm.
had me so excited for this series, because this is just a small piece of it. What other stories are we going to tell where these
Right.
black people from the past can do more than be? Because Richard, to be honest, I love him to death, but his past was dealt with, I think, in the first season. After that,
Mhm.
it was just like, you're just a black man here in 2004.
Yeah.
I,
Exactly.
yeah.
That and that's one of the reasons why I'm never going to sit back and say like, I mean, well, no, we said it on the podcast. Like, there was an issue of diversity. There was an issue of inclusion. The first time they showed a at least member of the LGBTQ community in the
Whoa.
series,
Yeah.
yo, real talk, he got killed.
Yeah.
So
And he was.
nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
none of the 4400 was a part of that community. There was nothing ever brought forward. So,
Mm-mm.
so with race, I'm just between Richard and Isabel. Those were the only two. And not saying every episode has to deal with race, but
Mm-hmm.
we got to get something,
And you
outside
can.
of like being sprinkled through. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of the issues that I have sometimes with certain sci-fi properties. I ain't gonna say
Yeah.
nothing about a more recent one, but because I'm not trying to hear comments or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, I feel that they're striking that balance without, because like every conversation the black folks were having wasn't necessarily about race. You had Shanice, who was dealing with the fact that she wanted to see her family. That's all
Yep.
she wanted to do throughout. Like, and that parallels Lily
Mm-hmm.
from the original series, a
Yep.
character who was a mom taken away from her kid, and then her dad,
Mm-hmm.
then her husband apparently was just like, "You ran out on us, a hole,"
Yo.
just snatched the child away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean and with this property and the things that they've done in the previous series, I think without spoiling anything,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a lot of stuff that's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. Like where if you're a sci-fi fan,
Yeah.
you'll love it. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
going to love a lot of the stuff that's going to happen if they decide to, because they are paralleling a lot some of the stuff that happened in series. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
we have okay. So this is one thing we can something that stood out to me was
Go ahead.
um, the pairing up of a social worker
Mm-hmm.
and a law enforcement
Yeah.
agent. So that is like Tom and Diana
Yep.
from the original series. So there are
Mm-hmm.
certain elements, and like we made the comparison between Lily and the previous series
Mm-hmm.
and then this one. So there are elements that they're keeping, and there are
Yeah.
things that are different. So
Mm-hmm.
um, specifically, how do you feel about? And let me explain.
Come
As far
on.
as the social work, let me say the good, because I know what you're going to get into. Um, with pairing up the law enforcement agent and the social worker, I enjoyed that because it's one of those things where you have the empathy of somebody who's working with like the displaced, the just
Mm-hmm.
folks who are going through it, and
Mm-hmm.
he's in, and that's I think that's Jarrell, right?
Yeah.
And then we have is it Tanisha?
Is it
I think
Keisha?
it's
Good
I think it's
Lord.
Keisha. Let me, because I actually have the cast pulled up.
Yeah.
It is Keisha,
Mm-hmm.
and so she is. I think she says she's a parole officer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah she's a parole officer. So that way they're working hand in hand to combat this problem. The only not the problem, but what's happened. But the only thing that was weird about that is with something like this happening, the feds would have been in here ASAP. Like I think that it's just one of those
Yeah.
things where, and that's one of the things where I do feel that the creation of this intact organization in the original
Mm-hmm.
one
Yeah.
worked. Because I don't see Washington staying back for nothing, for
Mm-hmm.
anything like this. But
Mm-hmm.
how did you feel about that pair? Like, what were your thoughts
Um,
about it, or about the
I,
two of them?
I saw the Tom and Diana. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
know Manny is. Kyle for all intents and purposes.
Right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
I like the direction that they're going with these two. One
Yeah.
making Keisha queer. I think that's
Yeah.
that's a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I like them, but they weren't my favorites this
Okay.
episode. I can tell that I'm going to like more of their interactions. Keisha,
Mm-hmm.
I hated her, but that is a testament to that actress.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
yeah.
yeah, because I was like, oh man, fuck her, get her out of here. But then I was like, well, this is a show, man.
Yeah.
So she did what she needed to do. But I don't hate them, but I don't care for them as much as I do other characters. But I can
Mm-hmm.
see me growing, especially when they get closer. Tom and
Yeah.
Diana had the
Yeah. The
same
same.
growing pains. So yeah, I
Yeah.
liked it.
Well, I mean, speaking of the two of them or focusing on them, definitely she played the role that she was given. It's like
Yeah, for
to the
sure,
T.
for
So to
sure.
the T. The other thing, if I remember this correctly, the guy playing Jarrell
Joseph
is
David Jones.
Jarrell. Yeah, he's that's Diggle's boy. That's John Diggle from Arrowverse.
That's his
That's
son.
his son. That's his son. Not in real life,
Yo.
but on the TV series.
Oh,
That's
I'm about to say, wait a minute, but still cool. No.
yeah, that's John Diggle's son. Yeah, if you ever watch Arrow or
hmm
any of the Arrowverse shows, he was in Arrow specifically. But
Okay, come on.
yeah, CW keeps employing their
Hey,
folks.
okay.
But I like the two of them. The only thing I don't remember, I remember that with Diana and Tom, Diana was who was the skeptic between the two?
I think
Was it
Diana was
Diana? Yeah,
God because they flipped. I think she was initial. Oh, because they
because
were bumping heads.
mhm, yeah.
I think
So
it was her.
okay, because I mean that part of the relationship stays true
Yes.
in that they didn't click, right
Right.
off the bat. So you have the same
hmm
thing with Jarrell and
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 Keisha.
Keisha. So
hmm
yeah, so I enjoyed the two of them.
hmm
Uh, but yeah, we're gonna. I definitely want to see, but I do agree with you that I was more invested in some of the 4400,
Yeah,
in
for
that
sure.
came back.
For sure.
There any characters that were jumping out at you that you enjoyed?
Really, Claudette. Claudette
No,
really, I don't know, because a lot of she reminds me of women like who I've met
that you know.
in
Yeah.
yeah, like I
Yep.
mean, everybody
Yep.
has a little piece of that, but her specifically, and the way she talks, and then me being in the real world, thinking like, okay, if she had an age naturally, how old would she be? And are they
Hmm.
giving us those vibes of somebody who would be what, maybe in her 60s or 70s or something by now, like, or even older than that? Like,
Yeah.
I liked her, and I
Hmm.
liked her little arc too of like learning about her powers, because I feel like
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
that's what you would do. You're not gonna
Hmm.
run to the authorities and say, "Hey, look what I can do," but you're gonna test this.
Yeah.
I just liked those moments of all the 4400 interacting, but her
Hmm.
specifically, because we can see her power. I am enjoying her probably a little bit more than others.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, for me, it was the if I could, I'll do the DC Trinity. It was Dr. Andre,
Okay.
Claudette, and and Shanice,
Okay.
and and of those, I'll choose my favorite at the end. But
hmm
um, Shanice, I enjoyed her story. I
hmm
enjoyed it because it was, somebody you kind of felt her loss. You felt her
hmm
confusion. You felt her loss. Especially when what's revealed. And the best question that she asked her ex-husband, she said, "How long?"
Yeah.
She said, "How
I
long?"
I was
And,
waiting.
yeah,
I
yeah. When she said, "How long?"
yes.
I was there for that, but I thought it was like a natural question because um, she just found out that another woman raised her daughter.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
other so I kind of felt for her, and then we find out that I don't know, I don't think it's postpartum depression that she was dealing with. I think she was just dealing with the doubt of, I think a lot of parents go through this. It's just like my whole life is being switched upside down, and especially
Mhm.
for her, like it sounds like she was, a part of a law firm. Maybe she was a partner. Maybe she had
Mhm.
kind of risen up within the ranks to get to where she was, and especially being a black woman in that position, there's a
Mhm.
lot that's entailed with that. So there's more stories there to be told.
Mhm.
But then she has a child, and you see her in the car, and that's one of the reasons I liked her story, because he was like, you left that letter, and we're going to get to him in a minute, but if you base everything on one letter and her disappearing, like, I would have been more concerned that she had been murdered or that she was gone. But I like them dealing with the, her being a first-time mother and dealing with the doubt. And then with Claudette, every point that you hit was standing out for me, and that's sometimes what I love about the sci-fi series, is that when the person is trying to figure out what's happening. When she told, I think it was LaDonna, or I'm trying to remember how to pronounce her name. It's she's the reality star.
Yeah, the influencer girl.
The influencer. I cannot find her name.
It's LaDonna. It's
LaDonna. Okay, so so when she said, "Can you cut me?" I was like, it was a smart little funny way, for them to do that, and so I liked her navigating and also being wary of the pastor. And then Dr. Andre is just like, that dude is like the kindest, sweetest dude. Like, he's so kind of not naive, but he just seems so OG golly about the whole situation.
He's of his time for sure.
Yeah. Of his time, but and being because I think he's transgender from Harlem. Man from Harlem. That's another story that they're going to dig more into, which I want to see. I want to see that story. So but that was the Trinity for me. Those were the three that were like standing out for me.
Okay. I mean, if I got to pick one, if I got me a Trinity, it got Claudette.
Go with your Trinity. DC don't have no I got trademark on that copyright.
Right. I got to say Claudette and Shanice, and I want to say, what's her name? Shoot, Mildred. And that's only like the reference from the 90s. Like, all right, fam. But I felt that like him, he cool, but like I feel like he was just pushing up a
basketball game.
Yeah, with Jordan. Like, all right, sir, relax. No, I like Mildred. When I saw her, of course, I thought Maya. But for me, I was like, okay, she seems to have that's a difference. That's the big difference. She really had a handle on her powers. Now, I don't know if it's just the show being like, let's move this along, but where Claudette is like learning, homegirl got her shit together. Like, she used her powers like 4 or 5 different times in the episode. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then her and Shanice with that mother-daughter connection, that really sold me on Mildred. That scene with them by the bathroom really kind of broke my heart. She was like, well, you go get your family. I don't have any family. And for Shanice, like, I'm coming back for you. Like, I don't, again, a lot of stuff I feel like was a bit rushed, but it's the pilot. We need to get it established, but it has to be those three for me for now.
How are you, because one of the things I had to remember was how quickly they established the abilities in the first series. Like Orson Bailey, there's my wife. But go back to episode 1, y'all will see what I'm talking about. And then what was the other guy? We gotta save the neighborhood.
That's it.
So how did you feel about, because I think Mildred, and we're keeping like a tally on this, or Mildred, I think, is a telekinetic.
Yep,
because
she
has Richard's abilities. Oh shit, we spoiled that. I'm sorry.
It's
whatever.
Like,
the show
14
is like
years old.
14 years old. So she's Richard. Claudette is no. Claudette is she can heal herself. She can stay healthy, but I don't know if that's supposed to be a variation on Sean's abilities.
I thought so, but we'll see if she heals somebody else, I guess. But
and I think those are the only two that they've
established so
far. Yeah. So, and I love what Dr. Andre told Claudette. He said, "You better keep your mouth shut about this."
No, for real. Yeah,
He's,
yeah.
he says stuff is still the same for black folks.
Hmm.
We not about to, and then get caught up. But
Yeah.
shout out to Usher for the caught up reference. So the abilities. So I like that they're kind of keeping true to the original series of that, and pretty much
Hmm.
establishing out right out of the gate that there's more to the mystery.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of stood out was, as far as comparisons,
Hmm.
um, we talked about Lily and
Yep.
the messy husband.
Joe.
um, yeah, the messy husband.
Yeah.
But what do you feel about Jarrell and Tom kind of being similar in that they have a loved one who might have been affected by this?
I think it's going to be an interesting way to tell that story, and I like it because
Yeah.
Tom was like everything was up front. This is
Hmm.
my son. This is my nephew. What's going on? Manny is a secret for
Yeah.
all intents and purposes. He's maybe an open secret, because clearly
Hmm.
some other girl. I think he said her name was Jasmine on the phone. He was like, "Well,
Yeah.
did you see Manny at your facility?" So I don't know if we're going to get her later, but
Hmm.
I like that. I wonder who Manny is. Like, is it your brother? Is it your little cousin? Is it your son?
Hmm.
I'm excited. I think they planted enough seeds in this pilot, and that was a really good one. And
Hmm.
also planting that seed of Manny, but also having Jarrell pretty much help Shanice. Like, he was her like guardian angel for a lot of this episode, even
Hmm.
before she realized he was helping. And so I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it
Yeah.
was. It's it goes back to them tying things back to the original one as far as like
Hmm.
possibly doing something that they've done before.
Yeah.
The mystery I'm fine with. I mean, I didn't really have an issue. I because he told the story about his I think it was his I think it is his brother.
Oh, okay. See,
So maybe I got that wrong, but the
I
story
don't
that he
remember.
told was him. Or I could be making some shit up. I don't know. So um, even after watching the episode twice, I'm like,
Right.
oh, my memory. Um, the thing that he tells the story like he left out, and then there was a green light
Hmm.
that appeared, and I said, Black Lightning.
No, for real.
No, that was the thing. You know. And I was like, okay, so this guy is kind of Thomish, in this
Hmm.
in this circumstance where
Hmm.
he has a personal relation
Hmm.
to this event. The other thing that stood out to me about that was instead of having the 4400 just in one facility like in the original one,
Yeah.
they have them spread over different places. So
Hmm.
in this case, and that gives them more opportunities to, just like in the
Yep.
original series, but to bring in people that you've never seen. They can be like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, I was at so and so
Hmm.
place, whatever.
Yep.
So I like that they don't have like all 4400 just staying in
In the
this
same
hotel.
space. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, and it's were there any other comparisons that you saw with the
Um.
original series?
No, no, no. That I mean that I kind of pulled the. I think with the Tom and Diana with Keisha and Jarrell, I think they flipped them. Where even
Mm-hmm.
though in like storyline Jarrell is Tom, he's really kind of Diana. Where Keisha is the hard ass law by the
Mm-hmm.
book that Tom was in the first.
Right.
So I think that they're an amalgam of both. Um, Shanice's storyline, yeah. I really hope we do. I'll just wait and see what they get, but I want more. I want more of that
Mm-hmm.
in ways that we didn't get with Lily because I feel like they dropped the ball with Lily in the first series.
Right.
Um, that's really all the comparison I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because we got the powers, we got some of the storylines, we got some of the folks that they're analogs of, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe we're gonna get an Alana. That's what I want to know. We're gonna
Right.
get a. It's I don't know. Yeah, but no,
Are
no.
we,
Other than that, no, no, no. That's about it.
gotcha. So are we getting an Isabel? I mean, that's.
Oof. I don't want her. I would like that
I,
actress to be on the show though. That would be nice.
Well, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind seeing some of the other actors pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, I don't want the guy who played Tom Baldwin popping up like one of these racist ass
Oh yeah,
police
yeah,
officers, like ready to just beat. Like they were
yeah,
protesting, and then the guy just raises his not the baton, what do you call it,
yeah.
nightstick, and I was just like, this is what you do. This is like,
And
I mean, it was like immediate. They hadn't even rushed him or
yeah,
anything like that. So that would be very interesting if they brought back like all of the
mm-hmm.
all the white guys to play like the racist guys. But
Oh,
no, and then you have the other cop who saw somebody bump into him, and it was ready to, once again, there was like two instances of them trying to beat up on these people. But
which
I, what were
that's what
you?
I
No, what
didn't
were your
like.
thoughts?
I didn't like. I like. I mean, I get the white man is the devil. Okay, whatever. But I think some of those instances were too heavy handed. Like with
That's what
the
I was going
guy
to
in
ask you
the
about.
piano. Like okay,
he said,
that
he said, stop
um
having joy.
like so like it was just like I get what you're doing,
Mhm.
and I think that you're
Yeah.
trying to get an emotional response out of me, like immediate. And I mean it
Mhm.
works for the time we live in, but like some of them instances, it really felt like this is an evil white man. Look at him do this evil shit to these people of
Mhm.
color. And
Yeah.
I think there's a place for it, especially in this type of story. But I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like that Asian dude, like why wasn't he an asshole? He was like, well, I don't know, man. R.I.P. Ruth Bader. Like I don't know. It just felt kind of Spike Lee-ish to me, but
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I mean, so for me, the two times with the police officers, um, I think the first time when they did the flashback, I was like, okay, this is like, this is some bullshit. And then when they
mm,
got to the protest, I was just like, they weren't even doing nothing. And then by the time that they were just having Black Joy and just dancing and stuff and playing the piano, shout out to the actress who plays Claudette,
yes,
because
yes,
she was killing it.
no, for real.
He was just like, fuck your joy. It was just like, whoa,
What's
whoa.
yeah,
He said, go to
yeah.
sleep. There's no music for
I
y'all.
which
What
yeah,
period is this from? It seemed like he was more offended by the fact,
yes.
I don't know, whatever, but I can definitely understand that. He says Spike Lee-ish.
Yeah, it was very much like Mookie. Look at these, Italians in your. I was like, what is I? It again. It served its purpose, so I get it.
Yeah,
But I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
bro,
yeah.
come on, we could have did a little bit better. Like,
Well, the funny thing is, the older I get, and the more you learn about this stuff or whatever, you see examples of, especially on social media.
hmm
So there are a lot of cartoonish, like asshole racists out there. I
yeah,
mean, who definitely act like cartoon characters, but
mm,
you have a succession of them within the same episode. Then you like,
yeah,
and it's not even like, what is it, 45 minutes, and then 15 minutes are allotted to commercials.
hmm
So for 45 minutes, you get the cartoonish racist. It's like, okay, like we see what y'all are going.
enough is
Uh,
enough, man.
fuck your own music.
Yes. Oh,
It's too much rhythm.
Negroes.
Yeah, like everybody dancing, cutting the rug. They haven't given them a change of clothes over the past. I mean,
A place to sleep.
yes, like where the fuck they were like, we'll open wait, no, those rooms are closed off. And I was just like, it's been a day.
For who?
Right.
Oh my
At
God.
least in the original one, they took them down to now what was essentially a jail,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
But they were just like, here's some clothes which aren't decades old, to
Mm-hmm.
wear.
Mm-hmm.
Um cartoonish racist.
Yeah. That was wild.
Man, and this is it for everybody who hasn't listened to our past episodes. This is the type of stuff that we talk about.
Bro, yes.
Yeah, and no, I'm gonna tell this quick story because this is what you say, throwing shade. I tried to share our podcast in a
Oh,
fans of 4400 group, a show that I don't give a fuck, whatever, however many people are coming out of the woodwork. Y'all ain't been kept. This group is small, okay?
yeah.
So the amount of people who know about this, I took personal offense at this, and I tried to share it because I don't think there were many podcasts that are being done about the
Yes.
4400. Backstory
Mhm.
is I heard Rhayne because Rhayne has this expansive podcast empire, and quite successful. No, I'm not being facetious or nothing. So he put out a call on one of his podcasts. It's like, if you got ideas for a podcast, then come, bring it forward. So I have been interviewed on the show a few times, and I was like, hey, you want to talk about this show that many people don't know about? It's like Sliders probably has the smallest fan base compared to the 4400. So, so the amount of people in here, I'm like, oh, these are my brethren. They might want to hear this podcast. And then I put the post in there. It was like they denied it because they were like, we don't have posts for podcasts. It's like, it's the fucking 4400. So, yeah. And in my mind, maybe somebody had heard it and heard us talking about, like, black people all need to have these super abilities. But
maybe that was it.
Yeah, but we were looking at, and one of the things that we were finding with the old series is that we were looking at this through like a different set of optics and stuff that they weren't catching back in the day, which was problematic on some fronts. Is stuff that we were hoping they would address in this series. So we'll see. But that's the backstory to how all of this got started. And how the only 4400 group on Facebook shut us out. I'm still hot about that. So
they said you can't even get in. You're on the outside of the club.
Exactly.
Woo! That's crazy. That's crazy.
To the 4400 club. It's like 5 guys.
Right. No podcast allowed.
Exactly. I am going to dress up in those 4400 blazers in the blue shirts for the next Dragon Con with the face mask, and then people just think I'm a Jehovah's Witness or something. I'm sorry.
No, for real, because what? Which honestly,
it's the most bland outfit. Yeah, no. Say what you're gonna say. I'm sorry.
No. You. But speaking of, I am not a religious person. However, I having religion be like the unspoken 4400 cast member, because my God, the Reverend from the 90s, Claudette's husband is a Reverend. I already know the doctor got some religious affiliations, even just in the way he speaks. So I'm looking forward to seeing how religion, specifically Christianity, because that's what they are, with these black people who are time displaced, how is that shown and addressed through this show, especially when people start developing these powers? I would really, so again, though I'm not religious, I do want to see if there is any, like we got the Jesus Christ motif in the first series, like if we're going to get anything similar with this one, because there are so many people who are already set up to have religion be a part of their identity. So, in that black experience, again, it's very different from the white experience from each time period they're displaced from. So, like, how does religion work into that in 2021 with black folks with superpowers who've been displaced? Like, I'm ready for that.
The unfortunate thing is, as if it's only the black folks with the abilities, the folks, people are going to be like, that's of the devil, instead of like, that's of the, whatever. And I think that having a discussion of faith, anytime a speculative fiction work can tie in a discussion of faith in with these fantastical elements, whatever, I think it works. One of the best examples of that, outside of the what we just talked about on the previous series, where they literally turn this man into Jesus Christ. Go back and watch it, y'all. Once again, context. Context. Or different eyes or whatever. Was I always say Battlestar Galactica. So Battlestar Galactica was the reboot. I don't know if the older series or the original series did it as much, but the reboot, if you hated any discussions about faith, that was not the show for you. But I always felt that, I'm just being real, like it just was, because the robots that were attacking humanity were monotheists. They believed in a single God. They believed in God. That was the biggest thing. And then the humans were polytheists, and I think one of their faiths were following multiple gods, which were tied around the astrological signs. So like I'm not like if I'm getting that wrong, if anybody in the comments is like he's wrong, or watches this later on. That's what I remember. So if I'm wrong, then definitely point that out. But that was the series that handled it pretty well.
Okay.
And then there was another one more recently called Midnight Mass
Oh,
on
I just
Netflix.
finished that. Oh.
Yeah, Midnight Mass. Like if you wanted something that, once again, if you can't stand faith, don't watch that. But it was when you listen to interviews, and that's more horror, but it's still speculative fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to interviews, or if you just watch the show, this guy, Michael Flanagan, has said that this was him not coming to grips, but kind of dealing with his relationship with faith and religion. So there are properties, speculative fiction properties that do it pretty well, quite well, in fact. And, sometimes, and in other cases, they're pretty heavy-handed, as we said, with some of the episodes that in the previous 4400, where one guy literally was resurrected looking like, the Southern Baptist version of Jesus Christ.
Yes,
so,
my God.
Instead of how he probably actually looked. So this one delving into, because you heard Claudette. Claudette was she told the guy, the guy from the 90s, he was just like, "Hey, how you doing? Can I help you?" And then she was like, looking at him like, "Nah, I'm not rolling with that." But he said, she said something about, if you talk to Jesus Christ, can you tell him to let me know what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's the issue, the topic of faith definitely, I think, will arise. And I, to be honest with you, because I think that if something like that happened, that's what a lot of people are going to fall towards. That's what they're going to go towards, especially for whatever faith that you follow. And it does a disservice sometimes. I mean, actually not sometimes, all the times. But the only faith that you're showing is Christianity, because there's so many other different faiths in this world that people ascribe to or that they follow. I mean, you could even look at it from the perspective of an atheist. That's their faith. So it's always interesting, and I hope that the show is given a chance, to do that. And not as heavy-handed as the other show did. That man parted the waters. He parted the human whatever. The human waters,
my God!
So, it's a good show, y'all. Still go back and watch it. But it is.
It's some, especially if you like bad special effects. And this isn't a knock against the show; it's a show of its time. But like, I like if you watch Charmed or any of those, like Buffy, Angel, all that, you got like it's comparable effects. Maybe not stories, but effects. So
I was like, I'm not gonna knock Charmed. TNT.
They
Thursday mornings.
Yes. Oh my God. So I'm enjoying that, and I want to see more of the religious aspect. Rev Johnson is probably the one who I ain't really as interested in, but whatever.
So there, I think the other thing that was very apparent is that I have a feeling that each of at least maybe the first few episodes is going to open with the abduction of each of the main characters. And that was something that I hope that's what they do, because I think that would be kind of a good storytelling, device to use, and also give a little bit of background. Because, in the trailers for each of the characters, we did actually see Reverend Johnson at the bar, and he walked into it looked like a telephone booth. Kids, they used to have these things on walls called telephones. And he disappeared. And then you had Dr. Andre, who was in his, looked like a lab. It looked like he was at a party. Like, they showed a bunch of different parts of him in Harlem. And then he disappeared. And I haven't seen anybody else in the commercials outside of
just Shanice from the car.
That was getting yanked from the car. Hey, can we talk to the stunt woman on that part? Because that was like,
that looked painful.
It was painful going up, and it was painful being dropped on that island.
I was like, this is the one time I hope she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, because that shit was terrible. Oh my God, damn. Yeah.
She was like, my arm. God, my arm. But I think that as far as like we were going to talk about predictions, I think that, and I hope that for the next few episodes that we get a little bit more backstory for each person. I want to hear Claudette's story,
Oh, for
because
sure.
she sounded like she was in the ish, trying,
Yes.
like
Mm-hmm.
Freedom Rider. She was trying to maybe doing voter
Hey.
registration,
Hey.
and just being in that position
Mm-hmm.
as a Black woman at that time.
Yeah.
There's some story to tell, and then also her talking about her husband.
Yeah.
So there's much more that I want to
Yeah.
hear with these backstories.
Yeah. I especially want to hear hers because it feels like her and her husband were not solid. Like they
Yeah,
were married. He was a reverend, but the way that she spoke about Rev Johnson made it feel like she was like, oh, blah, whatever. The doctor's like, what you talking about? She's like, I know men like him. My
yeah,
husband is a man like him. So I was like, oh, okay, wait. So
yeah.
do y'all got kids? So now your kids gonna be older
Right.
than you? And like,
Yep.
so I'm
Hmm.
I'm excited at the possibility. There's so many things, so many directions to go.
Right.
Um, that, but Claudette specifically, Claudette, my Trinity, Claudette, Shanice, and Mildred, because we really know nothing about her. I
Hmm.
wanna, I wanna see what are y'all coming up with?
Yeah.
This found family, really.
Well, remember the other part of, like, so we had in the original series we had Lily going back to see her family.
Mm-hmm.
You had Maya going to visit her family's grave.
Yep.
And
Bro.
I mean,
Yeah.
it happened. It
Yeah.
happened. Too soon,
Yeah.
right? So she I'm wait, the point I'm trying to make a point. Okay, I'm not trying to make a joke. Um then you had um oh god. Yeah, God. Let me just. I'm gonna wrap this all around and say Richard didn't get to see shit. He
Nope.
didn't get to see nobody except a group of pilots that he used to hang out with, who were probably low key
Racist.
racist. And
Yes.
then he went to visit the outright racist. So,
Which that
so
was an
that's
upsetting. Yeah, go ahead, my bad.
no, no. Say what you're gonna say.
That was fucking terrible. That was
Yeah.
very bad. Like that
Hmm.
little arc was just like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You give
Yep.
this black man this? Like,
Yep.
but yeah.
No other
Mm,
relatives apparently. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
that was a thing where, like I said, they allowed Maya to even find a crazy ass woman who tried to play her, a
Mm-hmm.
sister. So she had some type of closure where she went to visit
Yeah.
the people that
Mm-hmm.
she loved, and she visited her parents' grave.
Yeah.
So and then she said something cryptic. Anyways, there it so I want to see these characters go back and
Yes.
hang with their folks,
Mm-hmm.
chill. If everybody's living in the Detroit area,
Hey.
go out to eat, have like,
Hey.
hey, it's like hey, you look so young. You look like you did when I want to
Mm-hmm.
see that, but especially with, like you said, with Claudette, I want to see Dr. Andre.
Mm.
Um, and if there aren't those circumstances, I mean, I think you have enough characters where you can do that. I think
Yeah.
you are going to get that, especially with Reverend Johnson,
Yeah.
because if he's coming from an evangelist family, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's tied up to that. Because guess what? They may be sitting on a lot of money, which
Mm.
he is like, I think he's the closest to Jordan Collier if he's coming
Mm.
from a family.
I didn't think
And
of that.
yeah, he's like the closest to Jordan Collier, I feel,
Mm.
because he comes from a family or comes from some influence.
Mm-hmm.
And because when they described him as the evangelist son, it wasn't like that's like a mega church. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that those churches are there for just completely profit. Have your opinions about them,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
um, but there's a lot of money tied into that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his dad, yeah. So that's another thing. So um, there's a lot. Uh, there's a lot of stories that can be
Mm-hmm.
told,
Mm-hmm.
for them reconnecting outside of
Yeah.
just Shanice with her family, which
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very interested in seeing how that plays out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that man was foul for like saying like, "Oh, you just up and left the family." I'm like,
Yeah.
shit. Like my wife does that. I'm like, shit, they killed her. Like
Right. Like.
like what the like. I don't immediately like, oh well, shit, she just left out. She
Oh
just
my
left.
God.
Like
Even after that letter,
mhm.
I was just disgusted, man. I was like,
Right.
I get. I guess my first concern was, I'm fine with him having them issues about the letter, but I hope he didn't show it to the daughter.
He probably
I would
did.
much rather, if I'm him, hate my wife for leaving, but I don't want to
Mhm.
turn my daughter against her when my daughter was what, 4 months old.
Yeah.
So, but his ass, he probably read it to her every day. Ugly self. I hate Logan, man. I don't like him.
He was holding the. He's like, what? She's like, that's what she learned to read with. He said,
Yo,
he said, read this letter, and she was
yo,
like, he said, why, Daddy? Why? He said, just read it, just read it. You'll learn
yo,
today.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I do like that they gave that situation a little bit more context because in the
Hmm.
commercials, he was just like,
Hmm.
"Why'd you leave your family?" And
Yeah,
then it would cut
yeah,
away, and I was like, "Oh, this evil motherfucker."
yeah,
And it was just, but this time he was like, he's like, "Don't lie in our faces." And the other
yeah.
thing about that scene was that the fans were some assholes because rather than just
No,
taking her to
yeah.
the car, they were just like, "We're gonna keep you here so he can talk that talk mess to you or whatever." I just
Hmm.
like they weren't dragging her fast enough to the
Yeah.
cars.
in the,
Yeah,
in front of her daughter too. I was like, y'all have her file. You understand what her family is like.
right.
Why did you not like? I don't know. I just thought that was all messed up. Okay, wait. The new wife.
Mhm.
I was like, if you don't get the fuck out of this, she was like, hey, Shanice, you look just like your pictures. How you do? I was like, read the room, lady. Read
Yeah,
the room.
yeah.
I want to see her just for that. That
It
white
was
woman is finna cut the. She finna cut up. She finna
there. Did they ever show Lily's?
No,
They never.
no,
Yeah, she was like oh fuck, I was
Maris
about to
from
now
Frasier.
for well yeah, Maris from Frasier. I was also
Yeah.
gonna say what was her nanny from Muppet Babies, but you always saw her
Mm,
legs. You always saw her
yeah.
feet or Dr.
Um,
Claw.
what's his name? Stan from Will and Grace. I don't know if you watched that,
There you
but
go.
he
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
was, yeah,
Okay, where the person was never seen. So
yeah.
yeah, that shit was funny. She was like, "You do like," she's like, "You look the same." And
I
I was
was
like, "There
like,
are feds outside with guns drawn." It's just like
I just,
it's a lot of shit going on.
yeah.
I probably would have popped back inside with the daughter.
I mean,
Like
yeah, that right there, that was my concern. I'm like, you
you know,
raised this girl for the last 9 years. Like, help her out. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm here for the mess. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for all of this foolishness. Um, First thing I thought though was like, he ain't get another black woman. What's going on? Like, you got the biracial daughter, but love is love. Love who you want, white man. But I was like, brother, what?
you see my face.
Yeah, come on, you have a mixed race daughter. What is? But yeah, no. I'm interested to see how that story plays out. Yeah, I'm just ready for the rest of the series. If
Yeah,
y'all couldn't tell, I'm
that
ready.
man. He said 9 years. So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
9 years, he read to that child. He read that letter.
Yo, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's if Robert
so,
wrote the script. That would be a cartoonish racist right there, right? Um, some cartoon shit. Uh,
oh shit, yeah.
shows how that's yeah, shows how good of a writer I am, y'all. Right? But not. um, yeah. So it was any predictions? That
Um, Really, no. Honestly, because of the way Lily's story went in the first series, I think that Shanice and Logan and their daughter and his new wife, they're going to eventually be a blended family. Because I feel like
okay,
the way to go is like they're pulling from different storylines from the first series, which is good, and
right,
it's really good if you've never watched that first series because you have nothing to compare it to. But I
right,
think because of the way Lily and asshole husband treated her, I think they're actually going to be more embraced.
hmm,
And this may be a bit silly, but I would be here for the main cast getting some type of like apartment together because I'm fine with them like doing their own thing, but that's
hmm,
another aspect that's completely different from the original series where everybody
yeah,
just went to their own homes. But those who are time displaced from like decades
yeah,
being together in some like apartment, with Shanice and Jarrell and whoever else, like I that may not happen, but that's
hmm.
something I would like to see.
That would be the best sitcom ever.
Yo.
That would be the best sitcom ever.
Yeah.
And the kooky racist cop with the face mask
Yo, and he lived
popping
next
up.
door.
Exactly. He's like, I'm there to watch y'all.
Too much music.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
too much piano playing.
Mm-mm.
No, and nobody has ever played that piano since it's been in a damn broke ass hotel.
Bro, you already know.
I actually like that. I really like that moment until they can't move into this shit. So I got a couple of predictions. One of them
Okay.
we spoke about. The Preacher is giving me Call Your Vibes. So that's and he's one to watch. If we're looking at it, for the, like I said, the reasons I gave, family of influence, they probably got some money. And he was very charismatic, just like Jordan was.
Yep.
JC. And then I'm looking forward to more abilities being shown. Jordan Collier, everybody, that's JC. But once again, he's a Jesus Christ figure. We're gonna whatever. So JC, Jesus Christ, on the nose, 2004. So I'm looking forward to more abilities and seeing what people can do. I want to know if they're going to have an Isabel style character who just can do everything under the sun.
That boy, the silent
I think it's
boy.
the boy. I think it's the boy.
Yeah.
I think it's the boy. And then first there was another thought, but the other thing is, as far as predictions, we're going to have more of a focus. I put this in capitals on us. We're going to focus on the Black experience. It'll be something, I think, along the lines of those parts of the Watchmen series that we got. When we focus on that and then the same thing with Lovecraft Country. That type of speculative fiction storytelling where people. That's why I'm so hyped and happy with the creatives that are behind the scenes now. With the writers and with the showrunners, and where we can get more of that focus on our experience. And we've said this. There are no. And I know people are gonna come at my neck for this, but we love X-Men. We love the hell out of X-Men. We love Generation X in particular.
Come on.
There's an issue that I have when the first original five who were fighting against like oppression against the other were like five white people. And this is a circumstance where we can have us, at the center of this like larger than life sci-fi story that's being told. And with considering what and this is not what we won't spoil this, but considering where the original series went and what they were trying to do, having Black folks being in that position would be a beautiful thing to see in sci-fi rather than being the cannon fodder. Fuck it, I'll say it in Dune. A lot of brown and Black people got killed to save this white boy. I don't know. I know everybody's feeling that movie right now. That's that part I didn't feel. But that's what happens to us in sci-fi, unless we are, largely taking the reins, or you have somebody who realizes, who is, white and in power, who realizes like, this is kind of fucked up. Let's try something different, So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I predictions wise, I think we're going to get more of a focus on the Black experience in these like crazy far out scenarios. So
yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I hope somebody could fly this series. That's what I want.
Black people flying. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, we had a few comments here. Tony Cade says, having lived a lot in those time periods probably made a little bit more sensitive than most. Yes, I would agree. I can see that. Let's see. He says, so why were so many Black people taken? And I think we've addressed that this is just a different telling of the original series. In the original series, there weren't a lot of Black, and there weren't really a lot of people of color. Like, Marco.
Marco was in a 4400, and to be honest with you, I don't think he was. I don't know what his ethnicity was.
Yeah, I think he may have been white. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just feel like he's Hispanic, but I don't know. I don't know. Let me stop claiming that man to be POC.
No. No, and like they
Uh,
probably said back in the day, they got Richard and Isabella, and in this case, I'm like, we got Mildred, okay. And
mm,
there were some people in the background, and I'm sorry if there are 4,400 people that um if there are 4,400
yo,
people, there's a good chance, and they did say the people from were from around the world. So there's
yeah,
a good chance that we have people of other races, but I don't give a fuck.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Um,
No, you're
um,
right.
yeah,
You're right. Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna leave it open. Even if they introduce some later, cool. But like right now, this is what we got. This
this
is
is
our
a
core
core.
cast.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tony said, "I thought Keisha's girlfriend was a Fed. Did I misread that? No,
No,
I thought
no,
so too.
he is, but generally speaking, I'm sorry, those cops look like security guards to me. I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, I was just like,
Why
did
y'all
they?
go fight them?
My dad, God rest his soul, he worked for a security guard company, and when I saw him in uniform, that's when I saw those guys in uniform. It reminded me of my dad when he
Mm,
was in security guard. So that's what was weird to me, that
yeah.
it seemed like they were using security guards, local authorities, and then you got one Fed. And then she was like, Washington was on my back. And I was like, what the fuck is in Washington here?
I'm
Like,
saying, like, that's
you
not a
know,
long flight. That's not a
right.
long drive. Like this, is not
Right.
like.
Well, she could have been based somewhere, I think, like in
Mm-hmm.
that area as a Fed, because you have different satellite offices for
Mm-hmm.
different groups. And listen to me spout my bullshit about stuff I don't know. But I just that's what I'm thinking. But no,
Yeah.
she was a Fed, so that yeah, you got that. You're right, Tony. So
Ooh, what is it? Those old folks know that blacks with powers are not going to be looked at kindly by the powers that be. Yes,
yeah,
that's another thing I love about the doctor. Like you said,
yeah,
he's like, hey, you better, like when him, LaDonna,
hmm
and Claudette was like in that little,
the huddle. Yeah,
yeah, that felt like Lovecraft Country when they went to, was it episode 2, when they were at the Blake what hmm, whatever, the white folks mansion,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they were
yeah,
having that little dinner on the patio or that breakfast. I don't know why, but that's
yeah.
where I'm
hmm
pulling a lot of like Lovecraft Country memories and applying them to a lot of these scenes.
Yeah,
But that, I really like that one, mainly because these are these three people from three different time periods, and
yeah.
the socialite influencer girl, she's just like out of place. She said, "Well, yeah, I stabbed myself too, and it hasn't healed." Like, girl, why would you do that,
And the other thing that got me was like, are her nails that sharp?
bro?
Like they were. I was just like, I
Those,
don't. That's insane that it could just cut flesh like that.
those are weapons. See, that's Wolverine.
That's
That's ain't no
Wolverine.
way. Ain't no way. Oh
Yeah,
my god. Those folks. Okay, I think I did that
yeah,
one, and then last one. Let's see. Tony said, those. Oh, that's the same one. Okay, it must have came through twice, but yeah, they know. These black folks know they're not.
yeah.
We won't be rewarded for these powers, and with that in mind, another thing is think of every time period where these people are pulled from.
Yep.
There is some instance of black trauma and brutality. If it's Tuskegee, if it's slavery, if it's
Yeah.
like it's something.
It's the Black American experience. I mean, that's what they said. I mean, they came back and they looked at the security guard standing over them, saying like shit ain't changed.
Hey,
And then people want to
hey,
complain about that. Like, I'm
mm-mm,
sorry. That's
nah.
how it is. And that's how it probably. Nah, I don't. Never mind. This is a
Yeah,
happy
we
podcast.
yes, it is, but we on the same page. But yeah,
Yeah,
woo. So
yeah.
I don't know. That is what it is. Do you I don't know. You got a rating for this episode? Like I hope we even rate this.
What
See if
oh
my
man, I'm trying to think because we always
uh,
do something funny. Nah, I'm not gonna say that. Um, Never mind. Let's just do scale out of 1 out of 10.
okay,
Um, because what I'm
yo,
going for won't be nice. There's a scale out of 1 out of 10. I'm giving this a 7.5 or 8/8. I say
okay,
7.5 or 8.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Um, yeah, I was going with a 7,
Okay.
and not because I don't think it's good, but I feel like with what we've gotten, a lot of
hmm
stuff was heavy handed, and I feel like there'll be better episodes later on. But I would give it
Yeah.
a solid 7. And that's not to say the quality was bad. I just think they
Yeah.
can do better. So yeah, I'm at a
Yeah.
solid 7.
No,
Yeah.
be concerned if we were sitting here like Jesus. And it was like a 504. No, they I felt that for an introduction to this world,
Mhm.
uh it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
There was definitely room to grow. Um, it's funny because I always hear people criticizing CW and for just having it's just like a young focused network.
Mhm.
And I think is this crew is pretty compared to the other casts. I mean, they're a younger crew of folks, but I
Yeah.
always feel, yeah. I mean, maybe not as at maybe well, no, I think they are, but anyways, but I see that there's room to grow, and this ain't
Mhm.
no like Riverdale type of ish. Like
Whew. Thank God.
this is not them. This is not appealing to. I think trying to appeal to like a younger audience, which a lot of the CW shows sometimes do, and they do it successfully, and sometimes not so successfully.
Mhm.
But don't let the fact, and that's what something that I've heard is like this is on CW, I should be concerned, and I was like, well, fuck, this was on USA. I mean, it was the home of Suits. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
like stellar
Mhm.
television on that network. I mean, they had. I mean, you have Monk and Psych.
Yeah.
I mean, like people sitting back like USA Network was like fucking
Mhm.
HBO. I mean, they had
Yeah.
good shows, but
Mhm.
it's on a garbage network.
Yeah.
But just definitely some of it I understand, some of it I don't because it's just it's not it's giving and all what I suggest people do is just give it a chance, give it a shot,
Mhm. I agree.
because this is what we've been asking for,
Yes.
and to
Yes.
completely ignore it is a problem. If
Mhm.
you can't get past like the first 2 episodes, then you did your duty. You at least
Yeah.
tried it. But
Mhm.
when people keep asking for stuff and they don't watch it,
Come on.
and then it goes, shit.
Mhm.
It's like being in indie comics, black indie comics.
Come
Like,
on.
well, where's the other Miles Morales? We got 16 of the motherfuckers out here. Come
Hey.
to the shows.
And
Like,
yes, and constant
yeah,
Kickstarters
so that
happening there. Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of how I feel. It's just like give it a shot. You don't have to necessarily ride with it just because it's a black, um, it's a black production, but
Mhm.
just watch it and just move on if it ain't for you.
Yeah.
Rather than just and I was seeing people like just completely shitting on it without even
Mm.
whatever. So it is what it
Yeah.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
so
That's unfortunate. It really is, and I hope them folks do a little bit better, like do better. Because and what really has me rooting for this show, past liking it, is that we have Naomi coming and we have
yes,
Tom Swift.
yeah,
Those are two different but kind of similar shows that are
hmm
probably going to have a predominantly black cast. And like, come on, this is
yeah.
not a terrible show.
Well, I mean, and even you have Batwoman on right now,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like I said, definitely if it's not like something that you're not feeling, then after like a 1 episode or two, I always say give shows at least a 2 episode minimum. If you can make it to 3, then that's
hmm
actually good. And if you like it, then keep it moving. But if after those
hmm
2 episodes, just kind of step away, and at least you can say like at least try.
yeah.
So, but no, this is something that I've been asking for, so I'm gonna give it a shot and
Yes.
ride with it. So.
hmm Yeah, and Hulu, get your shit together because Hulu messed me up. I had to watch this the next day. I'm trying to watch it live and live tweeting stuff.
Yeah.
Use that hashtag AL4400, but like Hulu didn't have me out here down bad, man. So hopefully this upcoming Monday things will be
The
straight.
Hulu
I'm
Live,
able to
right? Yeah.
find an alternative. But yeah, no, yeah, watch this show, support the show, and then come back and watch us live on Thursday
Mhm.
nights, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, and then listen to the replay on the Carefree Black Nerd Podcast network feed. I don't know. Yeah, that'll be linked as well. Cause
Yep.
woof, jeez. All
Mhm.
right, shoot, closing thoughts.
I'm looking forward to more. I mean, like I said, we're still quiet as it's kept. We're still going through the old series, but that is taking
Yeah.
hiatus to
hmm
this one because it's more current and
Yeah.
all the cool kids are talking about it and all that. Um, so yeah, so
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to more and talking, like we always do about this
Mhm.
property. Yeah, about the property.
Yeah.
So.
There we go. Same here. I want more. I'm ready to get whatever they give me.
Yep.
I want more. Woo, well, episode 1 in the bag. Robert, please let these folks know where to find you and support you and your
Hmm.
other projects and stuff.
It looks like, and my Instagram handle is up there, Robert K. Jeffrey,
Mm-hmm.
Robert K. Jeffrey,
Mm-hmm.
and website is robertkjeffrey.com. Same as it's spelled down there, except
Mm-hmm.
there's no period in between. And you
Mm-hmm.
can go there and buy some books and learn more
Yes.
about yours truly and all that good stuff.
Yes, 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 indeed. Yes, those links will be in the show notes. So once you're done watching or while you're watching or listen to the podcast, just click on the link or two and follow Robert and see what he got going on. For me, Twitter, Carefree Blurred, Carefree Black Nerd on all other social media platforms, Instagram and whatnot. Linktree, that's listed below too if you want to look at other stuff I got going on. And if you want to email the show, carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. Just put 4400 or something like it in the subject line so I can know what it's about.
Hmm.
You want to put a little voice memo, maybe you just want to talk some shit. Not rude. Leave your hate mail, but you might have a little bit more insight to something that you want to get more than just the Twitter character tweets off. So yeah, make sure to email me. And shoot, this has been a great first episode.
Yeah.
Come
Yep.
back, y'all. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Till next time, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, stay in your own time period.
Yeah. Stay away from
Stay
them
away
green
from.
portals.
Yes, there we
Stay
go.
away from the
Yes.
green portals.
Oh, wear a bulletproof vest and a down jacket, even in the
What?
summer. I don't know.
God.
No, if you get taken, you know what I'm saying. At least
Oh, okay,
you
okay.
comfortable.
I was like,
You're like, what
Rhayne,
the
what's
hell
going
you
on?
talking about?
So what's going on?
Oh man, I don't know, man. Just be safe, y'all. Be safe
Yeah.
out there.
No.
Woo. And